Hi, I'm Patricia St. John, and this is our first issue of Plant Notes, or Garden Notes, for the Berkeley Garden Club. I'm here today at St. Mark's because they have wonderful illustrations of 3 plants that I'd like to share with you today. The author for our program is the author of The Sunset, Low Water Use, Low Maintenance Plants. So that's what we're going to feature today. 3 plants that are from native California, from the Mediterranean basin, all the Mediterranean climate where there are cool, wet winters and hot, dry summers. And these plants are all adapted to those conditions. And they're exactly what we have in California, and especially these last 4 years of our drought. It's really important that we take a look at plants that need less water. So the first that I'm holding is a Cordyline. This is a gorgeous purple leaf Cordyline, and you can see it in the landscape here. It gets to about 3 feet by 3 feet. It can take full sun, part shade, and after it's established, very little water. This is all on a drip system that gets maybe 30 minutes twice a week of water. So maybe 10, 15 gallons a week. So this purple foliage is unique, and as you can see, it looks great with gray. It's gray here and gray here with this festuca. This is a California fescue that the purple looks great with. The other plant, and so going back to the Cordyline for a second, it looks wonderful with grasses, it looks wonderful with shrubs, and it also looks really good with succulents. So you can pretty much, it's pretty adaptable to any part of the garden. The next plant I wanted to talk about was the Lomandra. This is fairly new on the scene. It looks like a grass, it grows like a grass, but it's actually in the asparagus family. And you can see it's kind of an apple green. One of the reasons I like to use grasses in a landscape is that if there are kids or dogs in the garden, they can run right through it, a ball can crash through it, and it's not going to miss a beat. It's going to stay nice, and this guy gets to about 3 by 3. It's evergreen, so it's going to stay this form all year round. You don't have to give it a crew cut. You can just let it go. The other nice thing about this is that it can take full sun to part shade, and it's very flexible in terms of water. After it's established, it can take no water, very little water, or it can take a lot of water. So look at how gorgeous this apple green is with this purple. The other really important thing about this is some of our renegade grasses will seed here and there and everywhere. This guy sets several seeds, and it'll stay right where you put it. It won't end up in your neighbor's garden or in the cracks in the sidewalk. When I work with gardens and think about low maintenance gardens, I try to get the interest and the color and the movement in the garden through foliage, not flowers. Flowers take a lot of maintenance, and a lot of times you have to cut them way back to rejuvenate them. And if you're getting your color from foliage, you don't have to do that, especially if you give them the room they need. So this third plant, look at how gorgeous the contrast of the chartreuse in the foliage and the purple, and also with the gray. It's just the combination of these 3. I'll hold, it's kind of awkward, but I'll hold all 3 up. How nice and how interesting it is to have the gray, the chartreuse, the purple together. So let's talk about this chartreuse plant. Its common name is Breath of Heaven. And the reason it's called Breath of Heaven is because the foliage is fragrant. It has little pink flowers in the spring, but they're fairly insignificant. It's the foliage. It's the foliage that's really wonderful. This plant will get to this chartreuse. It's called Coleonema puchellum sunset gold. And it'll get to about 1.5 feet high, but about 4 feet horizontally. I'll stick this back in the pot. About 4 feet horizontally. So it makes a nice kind of horizontal arching statement, which actually these guys do too. Full sun to part shade. All 3 of these plants can take partial shade. Again, as very low water use once it's established, and very flexible in the garden. When you see this dotted in the garden, it just adds, because of its color, it just, here, I'll put it right here, it just adds a spark to the garden. And kind of helps unify the garden with this kind of chartreuse color. So again, we have actually an Australian native, a New Zealand native, a California native, and a South African native. And all of them can take full to part sun and very little water once they're established. So they can be a really backbone for your garden.